Welcome to the Coding Together video for username on a website. Now you should be looking at this and or the slides. I'm going to pull up the slides in the video regardless. The first thing we need to talk about is how websites save information. You should have gone over this in class together. Now, the first thing we want to do is to be able to save data to the session storage. If we look at our first task on this coding assignment, we are first going to use a prompt to ask the user for their name and school ID number. None of this is new. We do need to add a JS file. I'm going to go to the bottom of the body tag to add a script from my JavaScript. Now you're allowed to write the script directly in here. I'm actually going to make a new source code for my script tag just to practice doing that. I'm going to click New, File, whenever we want to make our own file, and I'm going to write script.js. The important thing is whatever the name of your website is must exactly match whatever you write in the source code. On this new file, I'm going to start by using a prompt to ask the user for their name and school ID number. I'm going to say let name equal prompt. Inside the prompt, you need to put your instructions. And I'm going to do the same for the ID number. I'll say school ID. And I'll specify 6-digit ID number. Now I've saved these as two variables. I have name and school ID. We've done step number 1 here. Step number 2 is also a bit of review. You need to randomize the user's current balance. This is a banking website, and we're going to just randomize this so we can see different numbers on our website and practice using the random values. So I'm going to say let dollars equal, we use the math.random, and we can figure out how many exact numbers we want. If I say math.random is, for example, times 10, I'll get a random value between 0 and 10. The dollars is going to be the trickiest one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print that out to my console log. Remember that if you want to use that print function I showed first, you do need to import the CodeHS library. I'm going to be a little lazy and not do that yet. In order to test and see if this works, you should reload your page. Here's my ID number. And now you may say, wait, I don't see the console log. Make sure you click console down here. This is my random number. Now this number of dollars is going to be a random decimal value. We may actually want to round that. If that's the case, you are going to go to your dollars here. We did math.random times 10. I'm actually going to randomize that further by using math.floor. Math.floor gives me a random rounding number. So if we see that time, I got 4. This time I got 4 again. Let's make sure that this is working. And that time I got 0. If you don't want 0 to be a valid number, then maybe we will add 1 to this so that we are never going to get the value 0. You always have at least $1 to your name. That time we got 10, which is the max value I've set here. You can choose the amount that you want as long as it's some number of dollars. And I'm going to do the same thing for cents. I'm actually going to copy this and paste it. Cool thing about cents is that you can have any number from 00 to 100. So I'm actually going to change that to make this a little bit more robust. I'm going to get some number now between 0 and 99 because 100 is my range. I forgot to print that out. Let us now test our cents value. Here I had 66 cents. Here I have 24 cents. So I should get a good value mixing that in. This is everything that is kind of review. We did the first 2 tasks. Now I'm going to go slower because this is the new stuff. The new thing you are learning today is how to save these variables to the session storage. if we take a look back at our slides, here is our session storage, and this is the format we're going to use. If you're copying, pasting anything, it should be this. At the bottom here, we have a code example. I need two things, a key and a value that is being saved in my session storage. So I'm going to copy one of those lines. I'm copying the example so I can see it personally. And now I'm going to do this after every variable because I'm going to need to save a bunch of these. I have the user's name here, so I'm going to say the user name is specifically going to be the name value that the user was prompted for. I'm going to do the same thing for my school ID. I'm going to paste that again. The key must be a string, but you are allowed to use your variable for the second section, just like I have X here. So we'll call this ID number. And I'm going to use that variable school ID. Now my total balance, I should add my dollars and cents together. So I'm going to make a session storage. I'm going to call this their balance. And I'm going to call this dollars plus cents. Make sure you use the proper plus sign symbol. If you want to do any other math or like give them extra value, multiply their dollars by, I don't know, 10 or 100 or 1,000, feel free to do that math as well. Now all of these should be saved in the session storage. We're going to go to output, make sure everything's working without problems. I recommend you keep this console open. If you see any red text in this section, it's probably an error that you need to fix, and you should take another look at that. If you're wondering, well, is this working? We should double check by getting the value out of our session storage. We are going to go over here, and I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit. We're going to check out our get item here. And we have our examples, so we typically make a variable and then print it out. I'm just going to grab this and show you a little shortcut we can use. Inside your console log or your print, if you're using the CodeHS library, we're going to paste that inside the parentheses. I don't need semicolons anywhere but at the end of every single line. That's how coding typically works. It's like a period. For my session storage, I can test things like, did I properly save my balance? I'm going to double check that one because I did a little bit of math. It might be a little weird. Make sure your key is a string because that tells our computer, look for the key or the data called balance. And I'm going to put that in my console. If we see here, I got 9.6 for my dollars and my cents. One thing you need to make sure you keep track of is you have dollars, you have cents. They should have a period in between the two. That's one little trick that might be a little bit hard for some of us. So I'm going to fix that now that I saw that error. I'm going to make a new balance variable that is always going to be specifically my dollars plus a period plus my cents. And typically in USD, we put a little dollar sign in front. I'm going to add these strings together with the variables. You are allowed to add strings. It's the only math you can do on those. It'll squish them together. So now I'm going to set my item called balance to the variable I also called balance. You can also make the names of your variables the same in session storage as they are in JavaScript. That might be easier for some of us. And now if we see here, now this looks like a proper balance. I've got $5.87 to my name. Let's double check and make sure that randomizer is working. $1.29. At this point, I want you to pause your video. Make sure you test your code like I am. Reload it several times and double check that it is working. Now that you've confirmed your video is working and all of that good stuff, or your code is working, we are going to go to our next task. We have saved our variables to the session storage. We are now going to add HTML files. What they're referring to is the actual banking website here. If you take a look at this website, oops, didn't mean to do that. If we take a look at the actual banking website here, you'll see we have several buttons. Specifically, the buttons you need to make work are the account settings and view balance. If I click on those now, it actually doesn't take me anywhere. It'll just ask for the pop-up again. In order to make these work, I should double check our HTML code. I'm on the index.html page. I'm going to take a look and find the account settings A tag. My A tag doesn't actually have any file that is linked. I'm going to make a new file for the account settings and also for the view balance. You'll go to New, click File. I'll call this account.html. I'm going to make that all lowercase so it's easier for me to type. And I'm going to call one maybe bank balance.html. Make sure your names do not have any spaces. You can put an underscore if preferred, just no spaces, please. Now we're going to go to our A tags and we're going to find these hrefs. And I'm going to put the exact name of my file in there, account.html, mine is all lowercase, and bankbalance.html. Mine has no spaces, yours might be slightly different, but double check that. Remember that you always need to put the required pieces of a website on every single website page. This is one requirement for your professional website. Most of the required pieces are actually on the docs section. There's only one minor edit we need. HTML language, I'm going to write all my code in English personally. Equals English. I'm going to modify all the necessary pieces like the title. This is my bank account tab. And I'm going to make sure I can see this by seeing bank balance. I'm going to do the same thing on my account.html page. My title, account info. And I'm just going to add an H1 so I can see all the information. Hit save, go to your output. I'm going to open this in a brand new tab so everything looks nice. Now, if I click on account settings, this took me to account information. And now I'm going to click view balance. That took me to the correct page as well. Everything's looking good there. Now that we've actually added the HTML files, we are now going to use the appropriate variables to modify HTML content on that page. So account information, for example, should ask information about their account, maybe to update their name or their password, something like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a little welcome message in a paragraph. Welcome to your account info. And then I'm going to put their name in here. The way I'm going to put their name into a section is by using a span tag with a specific ID such as name. Now at the bottom of my body tag, I can add a script. This time I'm going to practice just putting JavaScript directly on the web page. And this is where our next section comes in from our slides. We are now going to read the data from your session storage. We are going to get the items that we need, and we're going to put them onto our docs. The first step is to get that variable again. So I'm going to copy some code like this. This is to get some text, which is what I am using. Now, it's not the greeting I'm looking for, but specifically a name. I can double check my script here. The name for my user was called using a key, username. So this is the key I need to refer to. It is the first thing in my set item for a session storage. I'm going to go back to that account, and that was username. This is how we grab the information, and now we need to put that information on our HTML file. The way we can actually put information on here is by following the slide about changing HTML content. I need to grab a element with an ID name. That's why I gave my span an ID. Then I need to make sure I access the inner HTML, also known as the content, and modify that. The example is shown down here. I save document.getElementById, and I set that equal to some sort of new text value. Realize I forgot to highlight that color. All right, I'm gonna paste that here. Now my ID name is not heading. I called mine name. Inner HTML equals new text. And that is the new text value I put up here. So if we go to output and open this in a new tab, I'm going to type my name, my ID number, and if I click on account settings, my name was put here. I'm going to try that one more time. If I go backwards and change my name, my ID number, and then I click on account settings, you will see here that my name has changed based on what was typed in originally. This is how we can get information from one web page to another. I'm going to do this one more time because you may have noticed on my account it says welcome back blank. I'm going to do the exact same thing on my index.html page. Index.html has a script tag, so I'm going to write that directly in here. I'm actually going to paste all that info I had. I grabbed my document by ID, and I need the ID of a thing that goes here in the welcome back section. I'm going to look in my index.html. I'm going to look for the words welcome back. And here is that span I used. Span doesn't add any spaces, so it can look like, and we can insert text directly into a paragraph. That's the power of the span there. So my ID's name was name, and the user's name is also called name. That makes my life a little bit easier. Now it says, welcome back, Ash. Now I only did this for the account settings, and I haven't actually added other info, such as we should put the user's ID number here, and any other information that you might want to add. Additionally, I haven't actually finished the view balance section. We should actually put their bank balance in their bank balance, maybe give them a few options, but the rest of this website is yours to actually complete. First, make sure your website is working. Make sure it works just like mine. Pause this video, please. After that, the rest of this coding assignment is for you to add more HTML code. You are going to practice using those styles, so make sure you have the ID number on their account page. Make sure you add CSS styles. You are going to be graded on all of this.